There you go.
Great. So once again, everyone, Happy New Year. Happy to be back. Very excited about this year. We certainly, we closed off a year that was very strong. And I think that in itself is a huge blessing. If you talk about these past 2 years, certainly the world has been challenged. And to realize that we're in a position with our own businesses, with a company of this nature, that we have a lot of choice. We have a lot of freedom, even though we may be working from home. We're really working from a very, I guess you would say, free position in that we can design it as we choose and grow through it as we choose. Once again, just wonderful stories tonight, and a lot of it's all about the story. But tonight, I really wanted us to talk about, how do we really, here we're in the very beginning. Today is what, the sixth or seventh is going by very quickly, but already, and it's just started. But we're right in the beginning. So, what's your year going to look like? Have you thought about, what are the things that are your goals? As we were sitting around with my family on New Year's night, one of the things we did was say, okay, what were we grateful for last year, and what do we want this year to look like? Because I think it's really important to have those kind of, not only retrospective thoughts, but vision. So tonight, Lauri's going to join me, and I really appreciate that. As you heard Josh say, she's certainly one of our top national marketing directors. She has an amazing team. We watched Andy grow into Q here just recently, and people growing up through the process because of the kind of stories that you heard tonight. So Andy's going to join me, and we're going to talk about what does this year look like? What's going to be important? What are the foundational things that you want to make sure that you're giving strong attention to so that your business flourishes? We certainly are in a position at this point in time where people could not be more concerned about their health, their well-being, that and their families, and they're looking for the foundational support that our products offer, obviously. Also, that desire to, have the freedom to create income in the manner in which you choose to design your life. So, Lauri, I'm going to go to you. And she and I were talking today, and I know Lauri is all about, simplicity and basics. We heard, if you were on our Monday night call this past Monday night, our own president and founder, Jay Martin, who started our company 51 years ago, gave a very clear message on the very same thing, keeping it simple, person to person, caring about people. So, Lauri, give us your thoughts on, and let's just talk a little bit about, how your organization functions on a daily basis, a weekly, monthly, quarterly, and then yearly. What's the vision? How do you see it?
Yeah, thank you, Cheryl. I am a very simple gal, I like to say, but that's just, I think there's so much power in that, just to keep things simple. And there's a lot of resources that are out there to grow our business and our businesses. And one of the things that I always come back to is something that I heard Jeff Roberti say many years ago, which is concepts are constant. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you're doing social media or you're doing, events, or you're doing, it's the concepts around that. They're the constant. Okay, so that daily method of operation, making sure that you're touching your business every single day, just being consistent. And even if it's only 15 minutes a day, be intentional and carry that consistency forward. So I think that's the biggest thing.
Yes. Well, and certainly what we're talking about is, what's your plan of action? What is it that you're going to do on a daily basis with your daily method of operation that's going to be foundational? Because I'm like you, I feel like too, we can design this any way we choose. I mean, we look at all the various techniques, that we've gone about over the years in creating our business. Certainly from years ago where it was run a newspaper ad and, talk to people as you went through your day. Today, certainly it's still talk to people, but it might be, in many different forms because technology has given us many different forms. But if you look at just the bottom line is going to be, how do you create the exposure so that the person hears something that says, that makes sense to me, or I want that. They identify with that feeling inside that they want either the health you're talking about from the stories that you hear. They want to have the freedom to design their lives the way they choose from a product standpoint, as far as being in control of their own health, or a business standpoint, as far as being in control of their own day. So if we look at, what are foundational things, certainly the stories. This particular, if you look at the infrastructure of what we have to offer, I really want to commend Josh and Carol and all of you that are consistent with this call. Because for me, something like this, which is really, it's kind of an old time presentation in a new format. We always talked a little bit about company, a little bit about product and stories, and how we evolve through our business. So those, if Lauri's talking about, that's the concept that's constant. A little bit about the company, a little bit about the product, the stories that, validate that, a little bit about the business and the stories that validate that. So how are you going to create that? Whatever venue you choose, but at the same time that is a consistent method of operation that's going on. So Lauri, maybe you can give me examples of, and any of your team members that, spoke tonight, if you'd like to chime in and share, your daily method of operation. Let's just talk about what a daily method of operation looks like. And something else that Lauri and I were talking about too today, and I think for all of us, I've been here 34 years, and Lauri, I'm not sure exactly how many years how many has it been?
16, almost 17.
Okay, so 16 is 16. She's half the time, but 16 is a long time too.
Yeah.
So has it been perfect, everything wonderful the entire time?
No.
Okay. Has there been a challenge or two along the way?
Yep, one or two.
Have there been times when I want to go to my room and cry and say, what was I thinking?
I've had a lay down and die moment.
And there certainly have been times when, the fun was over the top, as far as the community, the events, things of that nature. There have been times when, you're just exhilarated because, you've grown up into another position, or some of your people have, and your team's flourishing. So I think it's important to realize, and we know that in life, just in general, there are things that are going to come along that are going to happen that will slam you, and there are things that will come along that will be wonderful. And usually you can't predict those things necessarily. But I think it's, to reach down inside and say, okay, what is the consistent activity that, whether it's, the greatest day I've ever had, or it feels like all, the heavens have caved in on me, what consistent activity is going to take place so that you make sure you continue and maintain not only the foundation that you're creating, but the future that's available to you here. How can you look at that and say, okay, life's going to happen to me, and there are things that are going to come my way that are not necessarily what I would have chosen, and they're always usually surprises, the good ones as well as the difficult ones. But what's the foundation going to look like? So, Lauri, let's talk a little bit about that. What does your foundational activity look like? And if your team members want to chime in on this, I'd love for them to do that too.
Well, when we talked earlier, I, started thinking about that again, and it reminded me of an oldie but a goodie, and it's that 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. Like, I just went, oh yeah, like that is what we have done consistently. Now, does it look like 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 every day? No. It, could look like 2 in the morning and then 2 at a different part of the day, but just getting it done. But getting it done, and maybe it's, through social media, as I said, maybe it's a phone call, maybe it's texting, so it can look a lot of different ways. But if we can commit to that, and be consistent with it. Doing, reaching out to, so the 2 by 2 is, connecting with 2 new people, following up with 2 new people, connecting with 2 new potential partners, and following up with new partners, 2. And yeah, I mean, I think we can all fit that in, or we can commit to that, I feel.
And definitely you all mentioned, your buddies, and I think that's really important. I look at my own business in all my years. It has been, who am I, kind of buddied with at this point to progress. Now, of course, my own sponsor, when I first started, he was the first buddy. Jeff Roberti and I kind of really ran side by side, especially those first 3 months, because what was happening, it's what Lauri's saying, it was 2 by 2. He and I were talking to, either 3-way call, the person that I put in front of him. We were talking to potential new team members. We were talking to, potential customers. We were just gathering it. We were creating the foundation. We were gathering the team. So if I look at the basics for me, it's been gathering the team and continuing to gather the team forever. Jeff did it with me. I turned around, and then what did I do? I have a new front line and I buddy with them. I have a new front line and I buddy with them. And we then turn around and they tend to buddy with the ones that, that we help to put into or bring into that team. So, and maybe I'll even go to Andy here, because I'd like to say a few things. First of all, congratulations, Andy, on your growth here recently. But Andy said something in her story that I think is very important to realize too, is that she had a goal, right, Andy? You wanted to get to the point where you could, and this is what I heard, okay? You wanted to get to the point where you replaced the check that you were having to leave home to go get, right?
That's right.
Okay. And then that got to be what, a comfort zone to a certain extent, didn't it?
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
had met your goal. You'd met your
That's
goal.
right. Mhm.
But what did you say, that you had this feeling that if you went on to become a national marketing director, a qualifying national marketing director, that all of a sudden it would be this big worldwide thing, okay, and it would take you over. So that's kind of what we might call what, a limiting belief. You were limiting yourself.
Absolutely.
But what really I think is important to realize here for everyone is one day she changed her mind.
Hmm.
She made a different decision. She decided that she wanted more than that. And that is what I have watched my entire career, is that the point comes when somebody changes their mind and they say, okay, I'm going for that next step. I'm okay now. So tell me, what was it that brought you to the point that you changed your mind?
It's a great question, Cheryl, because I do feel like I'm very into the personal growth piece of our business. We all say that this is a cleverly disguised, business, it's a personal growth journey, cleverly disguised as a business, right? And so you have to do that personal growth. And I thought I was doing it. I mean, I was doing it, but I was looking up to people like yourself, and Lauren, and Lauri, and people, especially though, who did have global businesses. I could see how busy, or at least from my perspective, how busy they seemed, right? And one of the things that I love to share with our team and my friends even is the whole flip the script theory, right? Is like, if you can recognize that you're limiting yourself, how can you flip that script? And I think that's what I did. I think for sure it was partly the pandemic. For sure it was finding, Lauri talks about her lay down and die moment when it just wasn't fun anymore. This business never lost its fun factor for me, but it definitely lost the momentum. I've heard you say that as well, Cheryl. Don't put down the momentum, because once you do, it's hard to pick it back up again. And my business never really slipped backwards. It just maintained. but I think the pandemic partially changed that. But I think the other piece too is that I finally got to that point where I was not motivated, better word than motivated is just I'd hit my breaking point of what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Why am I just making the same amount of money that I've been making for 4 years? Like, it's finally time. And I think when you make that, that happened for me more like in 2020, especially with Kathy joining us and her whole team in Idaho. And then from there, you start to attract people, right? So then we attracted some new people this year as well. Like, you put it out there that that's what you want. That's all you have to do sometimes is say, oh, wait, I do want a global team. And so, we've now got someone in France that's building and different parts of our country. So I think there were a couple of factors for me, but to sum up, I think I did get to that sort of breaking point of like,
Well, or maybe it
what are you
was just
doing?
a growth step. You stepped
Yeah.
up next, and I think it's important to hear that it's a mindset. We talk about, and we talk about many of the books that certainly they've been inspiring to me over the years, but we've done book study on some of these things like the power of the subconscious mind. Thoughts are powerful. And so really what we're talking about right now is mindset. What what do you, when you decide, and I've watched this over and over, I've seen it in myself, when I decide, okay, this is what it's going to be. I'm going to, now it doesn't just pop up on the doorstep the next 30 minutes, right? You don't go outside and there it is ringing your doorbell. Okay. But you do find that once you decide you can step up into a higher level, it happens because everything seems to come together for it. The activity. And I think that's, again, why it's so important to say, what are the basics? What are the foundational things? Whether you're talking to somebody one-on-one or whether I've met somebody through whatever my day has, entailed. It might be at the cleaners or the grocery store. Maybe it's in a dress shop. Maybe they've come in to clean my carpets. That was the last customer I had, was people who cleaned my carpets the other day. Okay, so whether it's that one-on-one interaction, but the whole idea foundationally is that how much exposure can you create? And then as you create exposure, the people who are interested are going to present themselves to you. They'll present themselves to you. So then it's just a matter of continuing to tell the story. So if we get down to story, then what's the infrastructure that helps you present the story? Well, certainly this call has been an amazing one that we've used here every Thursday night. And again, it's back to congratulating Carol and Josh for keeping this going. But just think about this. If each one of you on this call right now, we had right around 40 people check in. We still have 31 here. But what if everybody here tonight had one more person on with them next week? Just one more. Okay. And that commitment to what? Hear the stories. Were the stories wonderful tonight? They were amazing. It really just fills your heart to know that, you're part of something that it keeps creating. It continually keeps creating good things for people. So, if just one more person came with you, it could be somebody on your team that maybe is not regularly on, but just think what that would do, to help that person inspire them. What if then the next week, each one of those people brought one more person? We would go from 60 to 120. Look at how the numbers can grow if the conversations are happening. If the mindset is, I'm going to use this venue or whatever venue you choose, but I'm going to use a venue and I'm going to consistently grow it. I'm going to consistently grow it. So then consistency comes in. So really, if I think about my business over the years, it's how many people can I tell the story to? Can I tell it to them one-on-one? Can I tell it to them 2 by 2, as Lauri said? You've got a partner and you're presenting for them to that person that that wants to look at your business or their business. You're 2 by 2 there, or you've got a team collected like we do tonight, and we're telling the story. Or we've got a Monday night call where, Jay Martin or somebody comes on and we continue to tell the story together. Or we have an event. It might be a big virtual event now. That's something I wanted to really underscore tonight is the Level Up event that Lawrence Lahab is putting on in Las Vegas. And there'll be, a number of us that'll be there live, but you really want to participate in that virtually. And that's another thing. I have a number of tickets. I actually got quite a few just for this group. So what we're going to do is any of you who, if you don't already have your ticket, one new team member between now and doesn't matter if it's 30 minutes before the event, which happens on the 21st, 22nd, I believe. There will be a virtual ticket that I'll be happy to give to you and that new team member. If you already have your ticket, then the new team member gets a ticket. And if they get a new team member, they get a ticket. So for every new team member and anybody who brings a team member, we have a ticket for that person to be virtual on that. So that's going to be worldwide. To be able to bring people to a call, a virtual event that is worldwide, now we're thinking about how do you really expand that picture? You go from one-on-one in the grocery store to the next door neighbor or to the person that you love. What was it that, I think it was it Andy in the very beginning that said, Lauri said, look, I love you. You have to do this. You can't afford not to. So it's reaching out with heart one-on-one, or it's bringing people together to hear these kind of stories from all over the world, to see the big picture of what they're part of. I think that, now at this point in time, it's crucial that we step up, we step forward, we step out and make sure that we're the people that doing that. So Lauri, I kind of saw you ready to say something there a few times and I didn't mean to talk past you. So, a little bit more on, daily method of operation and what that looks like.
Yeah. And, it was Wendy that had made the comment about, when I said to her, yeah, because Wendy and I have known each other for 30 years. So, I mean, what a blessing that we can do this together. But yes, just talking a little bit about more of that consistent activity. Something that we talked about earlier was I will, be getting into my day and, getting into my 2 by 2 and what is the activity? And then sometimes I can kind of go off path a little bit. And every once in a while, I'll just kind of stop myself and go, is this activity helping other people? Like, is this activity making me money? Like, I have to ask myself that to kind of correct. And I'll just be like, this can wait, whatever that is.
This is a crucial point, and it's one that really you want to hear. Actually, my sponsor, Jeff Roberti, and this is something that I shared with Lauri, and maybe you've heard me say it before, the very first week, and he lived in Florida, I lived in Louisiana, and we didn't have anything virtual then, okay? So it had to be in person, and he stayed there for 2 weeks to help me kind of kick off. But he wrote it out. He wrote a sign, and it said, is this activity making you money now? And he taped it to the wall right there on my desk, right in front of my desk. So every time I sat down, every time I walked by that desk, it said, is this activity making you money now? So Lauri, that's crucial. Let's talk about paying activities, because paying activities are the things that are the most important, because we all, and if you saw my desk right here, you would probably be appalled. Okay, there are things stacked in every direction. I actually have 4 desks in this house, and someone told me, they said, I know when one gets so to the point where it's stacked to the ceiling, you move to the next one. But I'm not one of those people that worries so much about, the desk being neat as I am about the activity that goes on during the day. So let's talk about paying activities and anybody who wants to chime in on this. But Lauri, you want to start?
Yeah, I would say the biggest one is events, building for events and inviting people. and getting them to come to these events. We have so many different choices there. We've got, the big events, our Juice Plus Live, it's virtual now, or we also have it, in person. There are still regionals and boot camps going on. And then you've got your weekly Zooms and calls like this. Team comes together, and sideline buddies like you have been doing, which is awesome that you offer this to us. I mean, what an amazing call or Zoom to bring people to get to hear all the stories. And then, of course, just kind of a more intimate three-way call, or maybe it's a Zoom. I mean, I know we're doing all Zooms basically right now. I still love getting on the phone and talking to people, but why? When I can see their face, this is great. So doing that with new people as well, and inviting them in, and they can see a bigger picture, which is really important. When we talk about just edifying other people on your team and letting them see, oh, it's not just me, there's other people involved here. It's really important.
Right. So let's talk a little bit in events. She's so right. That's crucial as well. So let's talk a little bit about that. What is it about an event that makes it a paying activity? Anybody tell me that. Andy, Carol, anybody who's on. What is it that you can think of that you got from an event that made a difference for you? Why is that a paying activity?
I would love to answer that really quick. And it's something that you get value from. If you're able to leave a call with something that has a lasting impact on you, that nudges you in a direction that's positive, enriching, changing your health and wellness, your mindset, I think it's really about the value that you get to take away from an event.
So it's something that speaks to you, that stays with you, that changes your way of thinking and your way of acting, right? And I'll never forget, years ago, it was one of our national marketing directors. It's got to be 25, 30 years ago. And he said, I go to every event. I might hear one thing, just one little thing that makes a difference as far as how I share this with other people, how I think about this. It's enlightening or enriching to the point that, I get a little better at it. I get a little better. The picture gets a little more fine-tuned. You walk away with something that, as you said, Carol, is of value. Who else? Anybody else on what an event does that would make it a paying activity? And that's very good. Appreciate that input. Who else? What makes
I'll jump in.
Okay.
I would say third-party validation. I mean, a lot of our events are hosted by or presented by medical professionals. And while we know we don't need a medical professional to tell us fruits and vegetables are good for us, that's pretty much common knowledge. To have the little bit of science we talk about, I don't know if you're familiar with bank codes, but we talk about that a lot in our team. Are you a blueprint person? Are you a knowledge person, a nurturer, or an action person? And that knowledge person, the person who's driven by facts and data and that sort of thing, the medical professionals can speak to that. But then there's the nurturing piece that kind of brings everybody in. And I think we can all say most of us are nurturers on some level in this community. But it really gives us that validation from somebody else that is, a professional or, knowledgeable in some particular area.
And that's so important. And I love the way you've shared that, because, and I think we all have a little bit of all those things. We all kind of like a little knowledge. We're nurturers. All of those things are kind of mixed in. But, if you, like you said, and every time I've been doing a Monday night call for now 33 years. Okay. And when a medical professional speaks, it's every time. It just lights my fire all over again. I think, wow, I'm glad I'm on that product. Oh, I'm so glad that my kids have this. I'm so glad we've been taking this for nearly 30 years. How lucky am I? So then you get the feeling. And this is something that Jay Martin always talks about, when you got the feeling, and it's back to mindset as well. It really helps as far as the mindset and the rejuvenation the, the energy that goes around the exuberance or the, the positive feeling that people are going to get from you, because our business is a feeling business. People really they don't listen to your words. I think you're totally right, Wendy, in that it's so powerful to have the medical professions validate, or people validate that this is real because of the personal stories, or they validate that, the business works because I've been here 34 years, and Lauri's been here 16 years. Yes, it's real. We're paying the bills and we've got a little bit left after that. And so, and a lot sometimes left after that, after you've been here a while. So, the validation is so important, but it's also the transfer of the feeling. And I think this is so important, and it gets missed a lot of times, is that it's almost like you go back to the well to get a good drink of water. Okay, if you get thirsty, and thirsty is usually when you get too far away from the well. Okay, so if you go back really for that rejuvenation of the feeling and the energy, as Wendy, as you said, it reinforces all the things. Then you have a feeling that people are going to pick up on no matter what you say. So when the feeling's right, you're going to get the response that you need. And that's why events are so important, is they bring back that energy. That's why a Monday night call is so important. Is the whole thing about it is, and I started that call literally so that I do it for myself. Okay, so that it would be there for me too, so that I would continue to capture that every month, every Monday. This is the same thing. This call is the same way, is that every time you hear the stories, don't you just feel really proud on the inside that you take the product? Don't you feel really proud on the inside that you are part of something that makes such a difference for people? You go to an event and it's validated, as Wendy said, by all of the people from every direction, medical, stories, personal or business. So that energy, and if I could just, get one point across tonight with the help of all of you, which I have had, is that that's something that you want to, it's an intangible that is very hard to explain in a sense, but you know it when it's there. Don't you know it when you're on, when it's high, when it's energy? Lauri, Carol, Andy, don't you know it when the feeling's there, Andy? Do you feel it? You know it, right? And so that's a very important and crucial part of what we do, is you want to make sure that that feeling, that fire, that, the manner, the positive attitude in which you're going to approach somebody else, in which you're going to have those conversations with people when you're going to share your product, or you're going to share a story, or you're going to go on and do a three-way call for someone, or a three-way Zoom, or you're going to have a group presentation. If that energy's there, if you're on, so to speak, and when you're on, it's because you have gotten a feeding of all these things from events, from all of the things that we do together, then people are going to respond to you. They want to be part of that. They want to have that feeling too. Does that make sense, Lauri?
It makes perfect sense, because you know what it makes me think about is 16 years ago when I went to my first conference. I mean, I knew I liked the product. We were on it and good things were happening. And I remember saying to my husband, I'm going to go see who's behind the curtain, like Oz, right? And so I was like, I'm going to this conference and I'm going to see who's behind the curtain. And when I went and I saw Jay and, all the top executives at the company and how they're hugging, and it was the people and that vibe, like you're saying, that energy that was in the room, I never looked back. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe this exists. So yeah.
And we talk about times when you have challenges, but there are also times I can think over the years, and especially right there in the very beginning, like my shock. This is real. This is a real business. These are real people. They're good people. They're actually people who want me to do well. who are there. They're behind this. This is something that really makes sense. But I can remember times too, and it's not just long ago. It's been all through my career that you just have a feeling of exhilaration because you've been to an event and you're wowed. You're just wowed, and that's really what we want to provide for people. Why we want to come together. Why this call is really powerful, and if you used it in that way, if you brought people to it. The event that we're going to have as far as the Level Up event that's going to be worldwide, to really get that big picture of what you're part of, but also to capture that energy, that good feeling, that becomes part of also the mindset. And I'm back to now what Andy said again, is when you have decided that you're going on, to the next step, or you're going to and nobody has arrived. Okay. None of us have arrived. We're all in the process of growth. We're in the process of personal growth. We're in the process of business growth. We're in the process of, just becoming bigger and better, reaching more people. There's always something to reach for. And I think that is the baseline also for entrepreneurship, is that a true entrepreneur constantly is reaching. They're reaching, they're growing. They want to be part of development, and not only the company overall, their own business, the people who are part of their business. So I think as we look at this new year, I think it's going to be very important. Uh, really not only study your business as it is right now. And I would encourage you, even if we used to tease about drawing circles and sticks, okay, which means you're in that first circle on top, and then you've got all your front line and their names are in those circles, and you're drawing sticks to their front lines. But, really look at your organization, draw it out for yourself. I mean, I've seen us, put the big whiteboard up, and we're going to the war room. Okay, we're going to go in and we're going to draw out the plan. So look at your organization today. Draw it out for yourself, because it's not that difficult. Those people who are connected to you, and the people that are connected to them. And then they know the people that are connected to them. And so draw it out. And then it's find out who wants to really play this year, who wants to play at a high level, who wants to capture the year in a way that really sets a pace that's, way far beyond where you've gone before. And so it's a matter of, find out who wants to play. And then when you do, those people who really want to, bring this to the next level for themselves, or 2 or 3 levels for themselves, look at what is the goal and what's the timeline to get to that goal. Clarify the requirements to go to that goal. Make it real clear for the person and for yourself, assessing the current situation. Now, we live in a world where the current situation is always changing. So we're going to have to really give ourselves credit, and that we are flexible, okay? That we can be flexible with whatever happens. So the whole idea is, see who wants to play, set a goal. What are the, real clear requirements to get to that goal? And then it's just a matter of, implement the basics. And the basics are, how many people can you tell the story to? Are you telling it to them 1-on-1, 2-on-2, which means you telling with someone else to someone who's new? Are you doing it in little groups? Are you doing it personally? Are you doing it through events? Are you doing it through this Thursday night call? Are you doing it through a big event like Level Up? What are all the tools that you can take advantage of? I heard Sharon Rankin many years ago, and I've always admired her. She's one of my sidelines, has been here a little longer than I have, actually. And she said, condense time. Look at the activity that is a paying activity. And I would write that note on your wall. Also, is this activity making me money now? It's not going to make me any money to clean my desk. and my desk has never changed in all these years. We talk about my secretary in IT sometime about, oh yes, you remember the file from that speech? It's under the right corner of the sofa. Okay. And so, but that's okay, because I knew where it was. Okay. But, you know, the most important thing is this activity paying me? Because you are your own employer. You employ yourself. So are you telling the story some way, somehow, one-on-one, you know, you with someone else, 2-on-2, a small event in your home, a backyard event, a, you know, Thursday night call, a Monday night call, any of these calls, when you have a new person with you, or even someone who's on your team, gather your team together right after. What's the strategy? What's the plan? What did you like about Jay's call last week? Even if it's texting each other to, did you love when he said this? Did this speak to you? Find out what speaks to people so that you can really get in with what their desires and wants and dreams are. But those basic activities all come down to making a list of what pays you, what are the paying activities, being consistent with them, and then just develop that plan. Help that person have the plan to the next goal, see what your team's going to look like, what is it going to take to get each person to that next goal, and then what is it going to take to get the team to a bigger goal as a team. And let's just capture this market, because I can tell you, we've never been in a time where people were in more need for what we have, were awake to what we have to offer. And we have an amazing product, as we all know. That validates with the stories over and over. But we've also never been in a time where people are more lonely and need each other. People need us. They need us, and we're the people who have the, you know, ability to deliver on that need. So, you know, let's really take this up not only as a mission, but a moral obligation to really step out, step up, and help other people move through this whole thing. Because, you know, I think we're on the upside of getting out of it. Okay, but we may have a little way to go. So, you know, we've got a lot of good things going for us. So we're a bit past time again, but it's been a pleasure to have you all on and you all sharing with us tonight. And we look forward to next week. And I'm going to challenge you all, bring one more person with you, and let's listen to the stories and share the stories with other people, because they're so powerful. So we'll say good night at this point. Thank you, all of you that spoke tonight. And we appreciate you, and we'll hopefully see everybody on, and let me know if you if you have a new team member and you want level up tickets, because I bought a bunch of them just for that. Okay. So bye everyone.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thanks, Cheryl. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you, Cheryl. Happy New Year.
Bye.
Thank you.